and welcome back to Cooking by Zoe. Today's recipe is on how to make ube macarons. In this tutorial, I'll be doing a 2-color macaron cookie shell, flavor in ube. The filling is a white chocolate ganache, flavor in ube, and it's topped with macapuno, which is sliced coconut strips in syrup. In this tutorial, I'll go over briefly how to make the macaron cookie shells. For more detailed version, please see my strawberry macaron tutorial. I'll link that down below. Alrighty, so let's get started on making these ube macarons. Here I have listed the ingredients for making the macaron cookie shells. The writing in purple and white is measurements in weight in grams, and the writing in white and black is measurements in cups. The cups measurements are approximate value. In a food processor or chopper, blend the almond flour and powdered sugar so that there is no clumps. You can also sift the ingredients ×2. This will ensure that your macaron cookie shells will have a smooth top. In a large bowl or using a stand mixer, add in your egg whites and then turn the speed on to number 4 and whisk this until it is foamy. Once it's foamy, add in a generous pinch of cream of tartar. When you start to see these tracks leaving from the whisk, add in your granulated sugar in 3 separate portions. After you have added in all the granulated sugar, change the speed to number 6 or medium-high speed and whisk this until a soft peak forms. When a soft peaks form, add in your ube flavoring. If you're going to be using ube extract, make sure to add a little less than what this recipe calls for because extract is more liquidy, so it will alter the cookie of the macaron's texture. Continue whisking until your meringue reaches a stiff peak. When your meringue has reached a stiff peak, it should look similar to this. There should be a lot of meringue stuck to the inside of the whisk. Once it has reached a stiff peak, remove and place into a separate bowl. Repeat the process with a separate measurements of ingredients for the second batch, which will be no color and no flavoring. Next, add in your dry ingredients, which is the almond flour and the powdered sugar. Make sure to give it a good mix before mixing in. Pour in just half first, and then give your meringue and your dry ingredients a mix. And once all the dry ingredients are wet, then add in the rest of the dry ingredients. The process for mixing this is to scrape the side of your bowl and then cut in the middle and occasionally scrape to the bottom of the bowl just to make sure that all the dry and wet ingredients are incorporated. Avoid continuous stirring of the mixture. Once the dry and wet ingredients are incorporated, we're going to start on the next process of deflating our batter to remove air. For this process, follow what I'm showing in the video. Using your spatula, you're going to press the batter against the bowl, and then once you reach almost towards your starting point, scrape the side of the bowl and then check the consistency of the batter to see if it's ready. If it's not ready, then just repeat the process. Your batter is ready if you grab some of the batter and drop it in a zigzag and it forms a ribbon-like appearance. Also, if you do the figure 8 test and the batter does not break, then it is ready. Transfer your batter into a piping bag. For 2-color batter, there are several ways on doing this. In this video, I'm showing you on how to place them into 2 separate smaller bags and then placing these 2 smaller bags into a larger piping bag for piping. There are other ways on doing 2-color, 2-tone macaron cookie shells. Other ways, you can use a saran wrap by placing the colors both into a saran wrap, either next to each other or on top of each other, or you can simply just pour in the mixture into a large piping bag on each separate side. That is another option for you. Get your baking pan with your baking mat or parchment paper ready for the piping process. Pipe your macarons 90 degrees onto the mat. If you like the peak of the batter to be more of a swirl, towards the end of piping you can give it a quick little twist. After you are done piping, make sure to bang the tray against the counter a few times to release the air bubbles from the macarons. Make sure to let the macaron cookie shells sit out to rest for 30 minutes before baking. Here I'm just showing another way of how to do the two color by simply just pouring, or you can squeeze in the two colors into the piping bag on the separate sides. If you do it this way, your macarons actually come out a little bit prettier and they have more of a ombre-ish look. Otherwise, they will look like this if you're gonna do two bags into one bag. Bake your macaron cookie shells at 310 degrees Fahrenheit for 12 to 15 minutes. Time and temperature will vary depending on your oven. Once they are cooked, remove from the oven and then give it a few minutes and remove the mat from or the parchment paper from the baking pan. Once it's cool, then remove. To make the white chocolate ganache flavor in ube, you're going to do a 1:3 ratio, which is 1 part heavy cream and 3 part white chocolate and 1 teaspoon of ube flavoring. In this recipe, I am measuring out 100 grams of heavy cream and 300 grams of white chocolate. I'm using the double boiler method to make the ganache. You can also just microwave, whichever way you prefer. For this method, in a medium pot, bring 3 cups of water to a simmer, then place a bowl on top of that pot and add in the heavy cream and the white chocolate and give this a good mix. Continue this on a simmer until all of the white chocolate is melted. When all the white chocolate is melted, remove from the heat and then add in your ube flavoring. After mixing in the ube flavoring, place this ganache into the refrigerator and let it sit to thicken up for at least 20 minutes. Here is how the ganache will look like. It will be quite thick. If you like, you can also whisk this and it'll make it a little bit fluffier. This is the Macapuno coconut sport that I'm using for these macarons. Place your ganache into a piping bag. Pair your macarons so that they match in size, and then start your piping process of how you would like to decorate the filling of your macarons. This is how I decorate the filling of my macarons. I simply added in the ganache and then a little bit of the Macapuno. Once the filling has been added, sandwich your macarons together, and this is how your macaron or your ube macaron will look like. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you have any questions, comment down below.